So good morning. It's not about the quantity, but about the quality, because although it's a collaborative effort of our team, but now I'm here alone at the university. So my name is Erik Uszkiewicz. I'm representing the Hungarian Europe Society, which is a Budapest-based NGO. And I will be talking about our Diacomet project and some of the first results. I have to highlight that this is a work in progress. So what you can see is kind of first or preliminary results, and very soon everything will be published on this project webpage. And actually this presentation was made together with the Austrian team, the Austrian Academy of Sciences. So if my presentation is not that professional, please don't tell it to Tobias. Thank you. Actually about the project, about Diacomet, as you may probably know, it started more or less at the same time as your project. So this is another sister project, as the European Commission is used to say. And what is the problem? What we try to address at the Diacomet project. So why there's a kind of general understanding or agreement that the ethical principles of professional journalism in the field of professional journalism and media exist. And what this kind of common understanding is missing from the field of the public good communication outside of these professional environments. So actually one of the aims, not the only one, but one of the aims of the Diacomet project is to introduce the concept of civic communication accountability, both for media professionals and the general public, based on the communication ethics. And what I will be talking about is the work package 2, which has the name Code and Accountability. So during the research phase, Diacomet was focusing on relatively small countries with different kind of political, economic and cultural backgrounds, and obviously with kind of diverse media systems as well. So here you can see the 8 countries which are participating in our project. These are relatively small member states, and there's one country, Switzerland, which is outside of the EU from and actually what we are trying to, or what we tried during this research phase is collecting the different kind of types of ethical codes. The concept of this inclusive accountability was used to guide the systematic collection of ethical codes and guidelines for public communication from 8 different countries. The national research teams collected these types of ethical codes and guidelines from different levels, so from macro, meso and micro level, in different frames. So professional, market, political and public codes were collected, and targeting different addresses, so not just the professional journalism and media, but also like PR and communication, advertising, and also formal and informal groups of media users. And here you can see the percentage of the different codes which is already available in our corpus. And when we are talking about the types of the codes, then here you can see all the codes. Actually, more than 1/3 of the codes and professional guidelines are coming from the field of journalism, but also a kind of significant part of these codes are in connection with public institutions. And for me, it was a kind of bit surprising that media users are also representing a relatively huge or relevant part of this corpus, and actually here you can see the data from the different countries where we are working. And apart from the national codes and guidelines, we were also collecting the international ones. Later I will be talking briefly about Hungary, because you can see that Hungary, so my country, was the country from where we have the less numerous codes. And actually, this kind of 15 minutes of presentation is just very short and very brief to summarize the first results or to say something about the codes. You can find all the codes with the metadata on our webpage. So actually, it's really available for you if you are interested in the details. I will give you just some examples, mostly from Austria and Hungary, what we've seen in these codes. So when we are talking about the legal and regulatory context, then what we've seen that like 3/4 of the codes are non-mandatory, while only like 24% are foreseen by the law to be adopted as part of the co-regulation in the different countries. And here you can see examples from Hungary and Austria, also for the non-mandatory and the mandatory codes and its framing. When we are talking about the implementation and the enforcement, that we can also see that 2/3 of the codes are developed and adopted in a voluntary process as part of the self-regulation, and just like 1/3 of the codes are linked to an established mechanism with an assigned body. So for example, from Hungary, you can see an example for the co-regulation. During our research phase, artificial intelligence just became a kind of buzzword, obviously, not hiding its importance. So actually, we also checked the relevance and the appearance of artificial intelligence in the different codes. And what we've seen that only a small proportion of the codes addresses the AI and its implication. And these codes are mostly coming from journalistic actors. So many documents fail to consider AI as an overarching issue in the media self-regulation, reflecting a limited understanding of the potential risks and ethical dilemmas of the artificial intelligence. I also wanted to put some good practices on the slides. What we've seen in the codes, that one of the good practices is the diversity in ethical codes. So for example, the National Association of the Hungarian Journalists Code of Ethics is talking about the beauty and purity of the Hungarian language. The A1 Telekom Austria Group media ethics policy is also talking about the inclusive language. But for example, the European Commission ethics guidelines for trustworthy AI is talking about diversity, non-discrimination, and fairness. So for example, one of the good practices, what we can somehow absorb from these codes, is the diversity in ethical codes. And to be honest, I don't want and I cannot get rid of out of my Hungarian skin. So actually, I would like to highlight some aspects from the Hungarian media landscape. As you may probably know, since 2010, Hungary is experiencing a kind of political agenda which is aiming to decrease the media freedom and the media pluralism in the country. So actually, I've just tried to put together all the phenomena of what Hungary is struggling with in the field of the media regulation and media freedom. And actually, most probably you are aware all of these facts, because this is super well documented in many international reports and publications. But actually, what I just would like to highlight, that there's a kind of distorted, highly polarized media market in Hungary, and only a small only a small free and independent segment of the media and media outlets are still representing and maintains the traditional journalistic ethos. And actually, this kind of politics in Hungary is not a collateral damage; it's part of a political agenda, which is super important, I think. And actually, that's why the reason why I put this slide into the presentation, because when we are talking about the self-regulation and co-regulation in Hungary is actually just a hollow hope. So actually we have to put into all of these co and self-regulation into the reality, and this is the reality what you can see on the slide. Briefly the summary and the outlook. So actually, the majority of the codes are journalism focused, and actually just a limited number of codes are addresses those current technological challenges such as the AI or the platformization or the algorithmization. When we are talking about the legal and regulatory context, then most of the codes are based on non-mandatory processes, and the enforcement is also the enforceability of these codes are also non-mandatory. Actually, we use this corpus as a kind of source of inspiration to put together the Diacomet principles of good communication conduct, which is also a work in progress and will be available soon. I've mentioned so many times the database. So here you can find with the QR code and also the link to the database where you can find all of these types, or all of these codes and guidelines in our database. Now there are more than 450 codes, and this is a growing database. So from time to time it's updated, and you can find all of these codes in the national languages and in English as well. Here you can see the partners, because now I'm alone here from the Diacomet team, but obviously it's a collaborative effort, so we are working together. 10 partners from 8 countries. I encourage you to follow us, obviously, on social media and webpage, and just the mandatory disclaimer. Thank you for your attention.